On the ride up here, she reminded me that I play it way too often in the morning to try to get her going and wake her up. So, not her favorite song, but mine. I will share with you in a little bit why that iconic theme song from Rocky holds a special place in my heart. First, I'd like to congratulate tonight's inductees, Tony and Jamel, as well as Mary Jane and Lee, both of whom I've had the pleasure of working with as part of Dean Elliott's cabinet. I'm grateful for the support I've received over the years from my wife Sherry and my daughters Meredith, Stephanie, and Isabella. I'd like to recognize my son-in-law Ose, my beautiful granddaughter Samara. You may hear from her shortly. She has a few comments to make that she has throughout the evening. As well as my friends, clients, and colleagues for being here to celebrate tonight. I'd like to thank President Merrick, Dean Elliott, and Michael Van Sandbeck for their support and the great work they do to make UConn the educational powerhouse it is today. Speaking of which, how many of you are aware that UConn was recently ranked 46th in the country by the Wall Street Journal? Not just public universities, all universities. Ahead of some other schools you might have heard of, like Michigan State and Brown. I always like the Wall Street Journal. I think they do a great job. Skip, it's amazing how UConn's rankings keep improving ever since you and I graduated. I think there's a connection. At President Merrick's request, I'm going to share an early career experience. In my 20s, I joined the International Tax Group of Touche-Ross. Soon after, a major new tax law altered U.S. business taxation abroad. The head of Touche-Ross's international tax area, Steve, and the head of our local international tax group, Ken, planned a seminar for Fortune 500 tax directors. As the newest member, I was asked, we're told, to prepare the outline and provide the research. 2 weeks prior to the event, Steve fell ill, and Ken, now understandably anxious, had to present solo. We spent days perfecting the presentation until Ken came down with laryngitis from practicing the speech so often. You know where this is going, right? With the seminar imminent and no replacements, the firm's partners decided it was up to me to give the presentation. So just to clarify, we had 100 tax directors who averaged 20 plus years of international tax experience coming to learn about these significant changes. What they didn't know is that someone with 6 months of experience not having slept the night before, I got there early. The first hour I spent in my car reviewing my notes and staring at myself in the mirror, trying to convince myself that I could do this. When all else failed, I started blasting that theme song from Rocky over and over and over again. It finally gave me the guts to leave my car and head upstairs. When I got there, the partners reminded me to speak slowly to make sure there was no time for questions. Despite the blast of courage from the Rocky theme song, I was very nervous, so instead of speaking slowly, I whipped through the presentation, finishing 20 minutes early. When I looked up, I saw a sea of hands raised. It was one of the scariest moments of my life. Frozen in the moment and forgetting that I was in no position to answer any questions, I started to call on an attendee. Realizing the disaster that was about to occur, one of our senior partners ran to the podium, grabbed the microphone away from me, and said, "I am so sorry, but Mr. Siller has an emergency we need him to attend to. Please submit questions in writing and we'll get back to you." He then grabbed my arm and whisked me over. So what did I learn from this experience? Number one, always be game ready. That's the phrase Dean Elliott's publicity subcommittee came up with recently to describe our business students. Game ready. I may have been in way over my head, But I was game ready because I knew that new tax law inside and out. Just don't ask me any questions about it. 2, think through contingency plans. Luckily, the senior partner came up with one on the fly. If he hadn't saved me, I likely would have embarrassed myself and the firm, as I was in no position to answer any practical questions. 3, be careful who you're listening to. They may not be the expert you think they are. And 4, when you're in over your head, just blast your favorite song and go for it. The next step in my career was working for Cigna, another connection I made through UConn. That's where I met my friend and partner, Jeff Cohen, who's here tonight. And together, 36 years ago, we founded Siller & Cohen Family Wealth Advisors. I had always been on a salary, so when we started, it was scary because I had a little one at home. That was you, Meredith. And we had no money coming in. We decided to do 40 public seminars to attract clients. Jeff and I were working over 70 hours a week, but despite that, the first seminars didn't work at all. Fortunately, we hired a terrific coach, and eventually everything started to click. Since then, Siller & Cohen has grown into a nationally recognized family wealth advisory firm. Now, none of that would have happened, and I wouldn't be up here if not for our terrific clients. Joe and Gloria Hansen took a chance on me our very first year, over 36 years ago. Norman and Renee Levy came on board shortly thereafter. A few years later, the Tannins referred to us. Gloria, Joe, Renee, Norman, and Terry Tannin are here with us tonight. I'd like to ask them to stand to be recognized, please. Thank you all for taking a chance on me, believing in us, supporting us all these years, and being here tonight. It really means a lot. My career has allowed me the privilege of philanthropy. We as a family have had the opportunity to establish a donor-advised fund that Meredith, Stephanie, and Isabella run. They meet once a year and decide by unanimous vote which charities support the causes they care about. I encourage my clients to do the same because it helps to remind their children and grandchildren how fortunate they are and how wonderful it is to help others. I'm grateful that we as a family have been able to create a family leadership scholarship that provides a UConn students each year with a cost of attendance and a scholarship in the UConn MEAG School of Education in the name of my dad, Bernard Siller. When I think about this great honor this evening, to me, it's a validation of the values passed on by my amazing parents. My mom never had the opportunity to go to college for financial reasons, yet nobody outworked her. And she was so talented that she rose to the level of payroll manager at Scholastic, a multinational publishing and media company. My dad, who received his bachelor's and advanced degrees from UConn, taught inner city children who were reading way below grade level. Although he was initially reprimanded for doing so, he took the risk of rewriting the curriculum and writing his own stories that his students could better relate to. It led to incredible increases in his students' reading ability and, more importantly, their self-esteem. What my parents passed on to me and my children, and I wish they were here tonight, was that if you work hard, you take risks with things you're passionate about, you care about others, and have some luck. There's nothing wrong with admitting to being a little lucky. You can achieve anything. To those of you who can do so, I would encourage you to give back. I consider it a true privilege to be able to help make a difference in other people's lives. I mean, what else are we here for if we're not here to help each other? Thank you for all being here tonight and to share this very special occasion. Thank you.